Nebraska, you got to remember how their program started. They had freshmen. Then you got to work your way up.
You're freshman now. You're eligible to play right away. You can play varsity right away.
Yeah.
But when we went to school, you had to play freshman. Freshmen were not eligible to play varsity football.
We had our own schedule.
We had our own schedule and
our own locker room.
Separate locker room.
This half of the house is the freshman. On that side over there is the varsity. You don't go over in there unless you do. You're gonna take a chance they might beat you up, jump you, kick you out. Get out of here.
Or just abuse you.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Well, it begs the question: did you feel like you deserved that you belonged in the varsity?
You got to earn your way over there.
You had to earn to get there.
No, you had to earn your way.
See, that's why I tell you.
But did you feel that if you had the chance, you could earn your way as freshman?
When we moved up, that's when
That was your motivation to get over there.
That's right. See?
That was the motivating factor.
Would it take the whole year to get over there?
No, you had to play the whole you had to play your whole freshman year on the freshman level, freshman ball.
So what would happen if somebody couldn't?
No. Remember, they got enough guys to just play freshman football. Varsity got their own group of guys. Remember, they recruited. So back then, remember they had unlimited scholarships, so they could say go recruit 150, I don't know how many kids. Right now you only recruit 25 kids. So they could go recruit, say 75 kids. I don't know the number what it was. But they could recruit that many kids. I mean, they give that many scholarships out.
It was unlimited. I mean, it was according to the university how much money they had and how much money they wanted to spend. I mean, there was no limitations on scholarships.
Right, see?
So do you think that was a good plan that you made the freshmen stay?
Yeah, it's a good plan.
They don't do that anymore, though.
No.
That's because the freshmen they bring in get
now
on the varsity.
Every time you got a chance to play, you go move up to the varsity. You can play. Remember, they changed it
And they limited scholarships now. So the teams, the bigger teams that bring in more revenue, they don't have an advantage over a smaller school in that same division, but a little smaller school that does not bring in the revenue that the larger schools do. So that's why college football is so even now. I mean, it's very even.
Yeah, because everybody has to. You only give 25 scholarships a year. You're only allowed to have 120 kids on the team. You only can bring, say, 85 in the camp or 95, a certain number. Okay, see.
What did you have to do to become a black shirt?
Well, we'll tell you all that. What we had to do to become a black shirt. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You've been recording
what?
anyway.
Yeah. What did you have to do? What do you have to do to become a black shirt?
Okay, no, not just a black shirt. In order to make the team, you had to start out. Remember, Nebraska back then, they'll tell you, they had 8 teams. That's how deep they were in football. 8. But when I moved into Coach, they had the black shirts, the gold shirts, the green shirts, the yellow shirts, white shirts, and no shirts. So that's like 5 teams. So when I started out in Nebraska, I was number 8. Coach said, go get you on 18. That's how deep they were in football. They had 8 teams. 8. Because remember, when we practiced, they had enough, so that the way Nebraska was back then, they had enough football fields where one group was practicing over here, another group was practicing over there, so they just rotated around.
Were the teams in a priority?
Yeah.
Like was the team
first team was the black shirts. That's how they start. Number 1 defense is black shirts. Number 2 defense is gold shirts. Number 3 defense is green shirts. Number 4 defense is yellow shirts. Number 5 is white shirts, and like after that, it's no shirts. Commando.
I was one of the commandos.
Yeah.
Commandos were the people that got redshirted.
Thank you. See, okay.
After your freshman year, that sophomore year, if you didn't make the varsity team, you got redshirted. So redshirt means you play and you practice with the team, but you don't use up a year of your eligibility. When you sign a scholarship, when you sign a scholarship, you had 5 years to complete 4 years of eligibility. So theoretically, your freshman year that's a year of eligibility. That's one. So you got 3 years left. You weren't good enough. Your skills weren't up to the level to make the varsity your true sophomore year. So you got redshirted. Yeah. You practiced. You lifted weights. You got stronger. You learned the system, and then your 3rd year, which is your junior year, but in eligibility, it's your redshirt sophomore year. You usually were good enough to start. That's what happened to me. I played freshman ball, started freshman ball. Actually started as an offensive tackle, and I also kicked the extra points, kicked off and kicked the field goals on the freshman team.
Yeah.
Then as a sophomore, they had people in front of me on the varsity team, and I needed to get stronger and bigger, and I needed to learn the system a little more. So I was redshirted. So I was one of the guys that was on the redshirt team. We were the scout team. We would run the offense against the first team defense. So you're getting bigger through the weight room and stronger through the weight room. You're learning the system more, and you're going up against good people. You're going up against the first team defensive guys every day. So your skills are improving. So that's the progression that usually took place.
Now I have a question. This year we watched this game between Alabama and LSU, and they were touting that as the number one defense against the number one. What was the big thing about? What was the big thing about?
One defense, one offense.
The number one defense and the number one offense in 2011. Did they really have the number one defense and the number one offense in that game? Or was it in 1972 when you guys played the game of century where you had Oklahoma, which was what?
Number one offense.
An offense. And in Nebraska, which was?
Number one defense.
Number one on defense.
And you guys are considered that with the Sporting News, right? As the best
College game.
Sporting News and ESPN.
said that was the best.
Best game in the history of college football.
So you think that game that they played is gonna supersede you guys from that game?
No, I don't think so.
Why was that a number one? Why is that? Why do you think that's so?
That's because why our game was considered
yes.
because of all of the hype that went on before it. Because of the way the game turned out, it was back and forth, back and forth. It was a lot of scoring, but it was a lot of good defense. It was just a tremendous game where two really, really, really good teams were going at each other.
And that was the only game that was on college football that day, that Thanksgiving. You know, that game was seen nationwide. I forgot the number they said. Remember, there was no ESPN, no all other different stations.
It was on ABC.
ABC. That was the top for that day. There was no pro game on, no nothing. That was the big build-up for that game. Number one versus number two. You know, so that turned out to be. At that time, we didn't think it was the game of the century, but we knew the stakes were so high because, again, the winner of that game, we were one, they was two. You control that being one, plus you control of winning the Big 8 conference at that time, plus you control going to the Orange Bowl. They didn't have back then like the BCS on that. They'll come, the bowl teams would come pick who they wanted to come to their game. So we was playing for all them stakes right there. Plus Nebraska had never beaten Oklahoma too many times, I think, right?
Especially not in Norman, Oklahoma.
Yeah, Norman, right. We played in the Snake Pit, it's called. Right, so that was a game. Another thing about that game was well, back then too, you know, we used to wear red blazers on the road. They give us red blazers to wear with shirt and tie, have a shirt and tie and dressed up. And we went to the movie. They take us to the movie on Friday. So as we was coming into the movie, Oklahoma was coming out. Okay, and they stopped and said, like myself, we said, who's Greg Pruitt? Or who's Jack Mildred? They said, where's Rich Glover or Darryl White or Johnny Rogers? We said, here we are. They said, okay. We said, it's on now. We'll see you tomorrow on that field. And we went on into the movies, and they went on and left out. And, you know, so.
The rest is history.
It's history. You're right.
We're going to put in your hometown newspaper why we sent you home.
Uh-huh.
That's what he said.
That's right. So I knew right then and there that
I wasn't getting in no
that's why
trouble.
we wasn't getting in no trouble. So we knew for real that we come for a serious. This is a serious.
This is serious business.
Right. School and ball. That's the order they took it in. You go to school and you go to football practice.